Libertarian Congressman Thomas Massie is still fighting to force a vote on the House floor that would potentially release the Epstein files, even as Republican leadership fights pretty hard to prevent that from happening. So the latest includes a pretty interesting declaration of victory from Congressman Massie. In fact, during a recent event in Kentucky, he says he believes he's gonna have enough votes to force the vote. So for now, Massie is declaring victory on his move to have that vote take place now that the election to fill a vacant seat in Arizona has taken place. Democrat Adelita Grijalva, who won the Arizona special election on Tuesday to fill her late father's seat, is expected to put the discharge petition over the top when she is sworn in next week. So the discharge petition, which Massie needs 218 votes for, is essentially what would lead to would lead to the House having to vote on releasing the Epstein files. Now, she is expected to vote yes on Massie's discharge petition, which again would force a vote on releasing the files. And Massie announced at this event in Northern Kentucky that he will have 218 supporters, saying that they're going to have a vote. I think they're coming to terms with that, meaning GOP leadership in the House. This is amazing. So I'm going to bet the speaker is probably going to hand out hall passes to some congressmen because this is an 80-20 issue, meaning 80% want the Epstein files to be released. They want the transparency. The other 20%, what's going on? Now, at the same time, according to Semaphore, he said his 3 Republican colleagues who have actually signed on to that discharge petition are kind of dealing with some threats here. And that includes Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert. Now, Boebert told CNN last week that she would not be removing her name from the discharge petition. She's still very much in favor of it. And I want to be clear that Massie said that 3 of his Republican colleagues are under duress for signing the discharge petition or signing on to it. But he is saying that they're not being met with any threats of violence or anything like that. So I want to be clear about that. But by the way, Boebert also noted that she wasn't getting pressured at all. So that's what she said last week. Maybe things have changed since then. Now, every House Democrat has also co-signed to the discharge petition. They want to force a vote on the Epstein files, which is good news. And after the event in Northern Kentucky, Massie told Semaphore that they came back and tried to get the 4 of us to take our names off the petition. They asked some of my colleagues who are co-signers, and they actually threatened them politically, not physically. Massie said if Johnson uses parliamentary tactics to evade a vote, that there's enough notoriety on this issue that people will know that he's sweeping this under the rug. He also said that if there is language included in a bill to sideline the petition, those who vote for that bill are part of the cover-up. And if you're wondering, well, what about the Senate? Because remember, this would need to pass in the Senate as well, and Republicans control the Senate. Well, it turns out that there are 2 senators in particular who are supportive of Thomas Massie's efforts. That includes Senators Rand Paul and Josh Hawley. And in a September 10th, 2025 vote in the Senate, Republicans Rand Paul and Josh Hawley were the only 2 Republican senators who sided with Democrats in support of an amendment to force the release of the Epstein files. But ultimately, it failed. Unfortunately, it failed 51-49.
So, all right, they always do this rotating villains, and you never get the answers. You never get your government ever serving you. But look, Tom Massie being an American hero was not on my bingo card, and maybe it should have been, because he's been honest all along. You don't agree with him on a lot of the policy issues, but here he's 100% right, and I love how stubborn he is. And no matter what they threaten him with, and now the Israeli lobby is spending already $2 million for a race that is more than a year away, okay? And that's just the tip of the iceberg for how much they're gonna come for. And isn't it weird? Like his #1 thing is the Epstein files, and the Israeli lobby is like, whoa, we don't want those being released. I don't know if you realize you're telling on yourself.
Totally.
Now, okay, now to be fair, Massie's also against more Israel funding. And of course, the Israeli lobby thinks that all US congressmen must serve Israel. If they don't serve Israel, they will spend millions of dollars eliminating them, but they don't control anything. That's a trope. You're not, shush, you're not allowed to say. There's a lot of things you're not allowed to say. For example, the government says that there are no victims or perpetrators that victimized the women that Epstein victimized. Now there's over 1,000 of them. We know that there are hundreds of men, but the government in its infinite corruption says no, they don't exist. And we're never going to prosecute them. So when Massie says that if you vote against this, you're part of the cover-up, well, that's literal. You can't argue against that. You're purposely covering it up so that the American people don't find out who's guilty. Who raped those girls? The government doesn't want you to know. Why? It's obviously a friend of the government. You don't, imagine if it was like a radical left person that somehow was involved. Do you think Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and all those guys would keep that hidden?
It depends. Are there people on the right who are also implicated in it? Because that's what the Epstein files are.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? So when you talk about how the Democrats and the Republicans, right, those in positions of power keep playing this good cop, bad cop game, the reason why, if let's say Donald Trump were implicated in the Epstein files, the reason why the Democrats wouldn't release the Epstein files while they're in charge, while they're in power, is because there's powerful Democrats who are implicated in it as well.
Yeah, look, I get that that's obvious, but
people
now
don't see it.
My belief is, I think there's a 98% chance it was an intelligence agency. Because all the time, every time, Democrats and Republicans, no, we can't. You have to understand, no. And then Mike Johnson, we're trying to protect the victims. Oh, really? By not prosecuting any of the people who did it, decade after decade? That's somehow protecting the victims? Do you see how politicians are massive, disgusting liars?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's why when you see a Tom Massie or a Ro Khanna who've been working on this in a bipartisan way, actually being honest, it's like shocking. We love finding folks who are good fits for us, right?
I love good fits.
When you're sleeping, you definitely need a good fit. So I don't get enough sleep during the weekdays, but because of Lisa Mattress, at least on Saturdays, I'm getting some great sleep, and I'm waking up in the morning thinking, I got this. So I love that they have free shipping. I love that they have easy returns. That's super critical for me. 100-day trial. What else do you want?
You got to get that trial.
And they've given away 42,000 mattresses. We love companies trying to do good in the world. So they're good guys and they've got great mattresses.
They're philanthropists.
You can't lose with this. So that's why we picked them, and we hope you do too.
Go to lisa.com for 25% off, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code TYT exclusive to our viewers. That's LEESA.com, promo code TYT for 25% off, plus an extra $50 off. But be sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Lisa.com, promo code TYT.
Like, are politicians allowed to be honest? And then people sometimes are getting on us. Oh, well, you're agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're not allowed to agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, I'll agree.
Okay. I agree with her on this.
We're gonna agree with anyone who we think is right on any issue.
Yeah.
That includes Tucker Carlson, who I think is right on the issue of Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's absolutely right on the issue of transparency for the Epstein files and getting foreign money out of our politics. Listen, I'm gonna take the win. When there are opportunities to work with people that might even be on the opposite end of the political aisle from us, who cares? If you can build a coalition on an issue by issue basis and actually for the first time in decades get positive movement in this country, we should take it. I think the only reason why we haven't been able to do that is because for the longest time we have deluded ourselves, thanks to those in power brainwashing us into thinking that we should hate each other, that we shouldn't work together when there's common ground.
Yeah, so I was talking with John from the Stage Crew after the show yesterday. I want to tell you guys real quick about that. So look, guys, we were talking about this analogy. If there's 100 people and one of them is in charge and has all the money and wealth, and the other 99 realize it, well, then that one guy is in a lot of trouble, especially if he's being unfair and rigging the rules, etc. So what's the logical thing he would do in any given situation? If he was really smart, the logical thing he would do was to get the other 100 to fight with each other and to forget about him. Whatever you do, they don't want you looking up. And the people who did the Epstein files, the Epstein crimes, are up. So they're like, don't look, don't look, fight against each other. That's why this story is connected to the earlier story of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump talking about, the radical left Democrats, domestic terrorists, and violence and hatred and loathing. You should hate them, you should hate them. Why? Because they don't want you to look up. They're covering up Epstein files, they're covering up Israel, they're covering up corporate corruption, they're all their donors, they're robbing us blind. And what did the Democrats do? Same thing. Israel, take all of our money. Epstein files, no way, we're never gonna show you. Corporate corruption here's more subsidies, more subsidies. So stop getting divided by the hate monger politicians. And whenever you see politicians, they're doing right on anything, I mean, it's a minor miracle. So yes, I'm gonna support honest politicians, even ones I disagree with, as long as I get a sense that they're honest. I mean, my God, our politicians are such filthy liars that it's like a ray of light to see someone who's being honest on any issue.
And by the way, guys, it should not be lost on anyone watching this right now that the reason why you're starting to see politicians on both sides of the political aisle feel pressure to sign on to releasing the Epstein files is because this is an 80-20 issue, meaning the American people overall are united in wanting that transparency. So as a result, I'm gonna go to the final graphic here, just give you a little bit of a white pill. Republicans on the House Rules Committee have made clear that this time they will not help Johnson kill the Epstein files vote, a third source said. So, I mean, talk is cheap. We're gonna wait and see what happens in the end. But you think they're doing that out of the kindness of their own heart, or is it because they're feeling the pressure from American voters?
Yeah, all right, last two things I'll say is, Tom Massie mentioned a hall pass. So if you're not involved in politics, you might not know what that is. What that is when leadership of either party realizes they're gonna lose a vote, they just don't have enough votes. They then release their people on their side to vote in the popular direction, right? Even though they were not going to do that if they could win the vote. So here, since we have just enough Republicans joining the Democrats to release the Epstein files, they're gonna lose the votes. So then you might not get just the first 4, you might get 24 or 44. Understand that those others that come in later are liars. They don't mean that at all. They're only being released or giving it a hall pass to vote in that direction because they couldn't, they couldn't successfully complete the cover-up.
Right.
And so the people to thank there, and these are people I've spoken out against 1,000 times, but the 4 Republicans, Tom Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. Man, have I got millions of criticism for them in other issues. But here, they did a great job. They got them over the hump, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. And they did it in a bipartisan way, and they didn't go, Democrats are voting for it, and I don't want it. I want to hurt the American people. They didn't do that. Now, finally, on the Senate, if they get to a point where they didn't have enough Republicans flipped, and they were going to lose the vote, Democrats will never believe me, but for progressives, you know this, they have rotating villains. There'll be some Democrat who raises his hand and votes with the Republicans. Because they're gonna cover it up. They're gonna cover it up, they always cover it up. And since both Democrats and Republicans have been doing it the whole time, at this point, I don't really believe almost any of the Democrats other than Ro Khanna, who's led this effort, right, and a couple of others, that they actually mean it. And if they're gonna win the vote, some Democratic senators might panic and go, we didn't adequately protect the victims.
Well, it would be a dumb political move to do that, especially after what we learned from the press conference that the Epstein victims held alongside the bipartisan congressional effort to release the Epstein files. They're gonna release the names themselves. So either we can do this the right way, congressionally through legislation, or we can have it happen the other way. So I guess no matter what, the truth will come out. All things dark come to light. I genuinely believe that. So if the lawmakers in Congress right now think they can engage in a cover up and get away with it, I doubt it. In this instance, people are not dropping this for good reason. It has to do with injustice. It has to do with pedophilia. It has to do with those who perpetrated acts of pedophilia and got away with it, weren't prosecuted for it, and hold positions of power. So we're gonna wait and see.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.